Hello everybody, I have got a semi-quick perfect stats game, or guide I should say, for the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. There's some changes. If you've ever done a low-level game for Final Fantasy VI, this one's going to be a little bit different. They've just made some kind of odd odd changes, and so things get changed just a little bit. One thing here, so we're gonna start because basically the beginning of the game and up to the Narshe battle is pretty straightforward. It's just run from everything. You can take again. There's a lot of guides out there, and actually I've got a full perfect game I guess guide from from the PlayStation version. And again, everything up until this point is exactly the same. But this is where things get a little bit different. And one thing that I would say here is that you've got a little bit of leeway in taking some experience here and there, but you don't have to. And you actually don't have to take any experience all the way up until Thaumasia and the Flame Eater. The Flame Eater battle has changed, and there's no way to... unless there's some exploit that I don't know about, but I think everything's been pretty much fixed when it comes to that stuff. But what we're doing here is I wanted to get I wanted to get all of the different enemy formations here. So I took all of my groups down to the bottom, and I put Gao and Locke together, and then Tera's on her own. And so what I'm going to do here is take Tera in and basically die to get one of these to get the correct enemy formation here. And I believe I was looking for the Fidor Trooper. The other formation that you could, I guess, get is I think it's called the Corporal. Is it Heavy Armor? I think. So that's another one. Here I took a little cut here. And the reason why this version also, by the way, is so much easier is because of these quick saves. Quick saves is nuts. I mean, it's almost as good as a quick save, or sorry, yeah, that's what it's called. Just kind of like an emulator, right, where you can kind of just save anywhere. It's not quite as good as that, right, because you can't take a save in the middle of battle, which would be pretty amazing too. But unfortunately, we have to deal with being able to save kind of on the field anywhere. But yeah, it's pretty great. So. If you don't really care about getting all the enemy formations, you don't have to do this stuff, but I just did this because I wanted the enemy formation here on the Veld. So that's the Corporal Fidor. Now, Tera's going to get up here, and then I took another quick save here because this next battle, it just depends, and we want to get into a certain one, that being we want this one, the Hunting Hound, and then the two Corporals. And so we'll just die to this one as well. And then we'll swap over to the Locke Gao group, and then we'll go trigger or run into a battle. Excuse me, with the Rider, and then that way we can steal the Mithril Vest. I think that's the better one. It's the more common steal. I can't remember if he's got. I think the Rider has like an elixir or something like that. So at this point now we just wait for all of the brown soldiers to pass us. This spot right here is completely safe. I don't know if this was always here, but I feel like I didn't do this before in some of the other times that I've played this, and like this just seems super cheap, right? We can just hang out here at the bottom and let everything run by, which is just silly. But all right, so now we get into the Rider is obviously guarding Kefka here. And I'm just going to steal this Mithril Vest. Again, you can do a quick save right before this battle too, and then we'll just die here. I didn't want to gain any experience. I think that I've actually got footage from multiple playthroughs here, and the footage that I have from this point on is actually from my original, where I did take some experience. And again, it's important to know that you do have a little bit of leeway, but like. When you've got the option to not take experience, I would say, do that. It's just going to make things easier for you later on, and it'll make things like the minecart a little easier, because that's honestly, in my opinion, the toughest part of this entire low-level kind of, or like perfect stats challenge. It's that mine card. It's just it's a real bear sometimes. So at this point now, we've got the test rider, right? We can meet him on the Veldt. And then here I just take my my kill group over here to take down Kefka. Just use Runic with Seal or Celeste every turn, and you'll be looking pretty set. So then we get the peace ring. Now the next part, this is where things get a little bit interesting too. Take Gao here. I think you absolutely have to have Gao if you don't want to get any experience. I screwed up. I didn't realize that that this was the case, but in the original low-level games, there I saw a Thief Bracer. That is, do not waste time trying to steal that. That is completely pointless. And that's his more rare steal, so it's really unlikely that you're going to get a hold of that. But don't waste your time. It's just not. It's not useful. I think the only other person that can equip that other than Locke, and he already has one, because we got it in Narshe. The only other person I think that can equip it is Gao, and Go-Go. And we don't get him until the World of Ruin, which they become viable in World of Ruin, so do not steal that. Here's the problem, though. If you notice, I gained 288 experience. The PlayStation version of this game, when you fought Dadaluma and killed him, but you didn't kill the two's, is it Stonefist or whatever those guys were? His little buddies that he calls. In the PlayStation version, you did not get experience for those two, but you do in this version, which is why you need Gao here. It's not that big of a deal if you don't, but you can actually kill him in like 3 turns or something if you use the Overmind, I believe it is Rage, and double earring. So do that. That will again let you get through that battle without gaining experience. Now, at this point, you need to leap Gao off. Here, I made it all the way over to Nikia. And I thought, okay, cool, I'll hop on the Chocobo, right, so that we can skip the Phantom Forest. Well, it turns out they screwed something up here, and you can't get across that bridge on a Chocobo. So there is no reason to buy a Chocobo from Nikia. You can't take it anywhere. It's a pretty comical oversight there. But again, here is, we're back onto the Veldt. Again, you know, after you've taken out Dadaluma, you just leap Gao off, and we will basically not be using Gao until after the Flame Eater fight. So it stinks, and it makes some of these fights a lot more difficult because Gao is so OP. But it is what it is, and we want to get perfect stats. So at this point, we need to go over to Collingen. Again, this is after Zozo. Technically, you cannot get Shadow prior to that. You want to make sure that you. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Technically, you can before Zozo, but you have to dump Shadow off in Narshe, and that is one thing that they've also changed. In the previous versions of the game, if you pick up Shadow in Collingen, and if you take him into Zozo, at the end of Zozo, he will just leave. He says that, you know, after you've got all the espers and Tera is found, he just says that I can't stay with you or something like that, and he'll take off. And that is a huge, huge mistake. You do not want to do that. And so, you know, wait, I guess, until right now. Now, I recruited him right here, and then what I'm doing here is an exploit with the espers. Now, there is a way that if you hold the left click and then you press up here, it makes it so that Raiden is equipable by Celeste. Now, that's going to get us 2 strength. Normally here in the other versions of the game, what you would actually do is you would not, obviously we wouldn't have that exploit, right? And we would have to equip a, I think here in this version it's called Ket Shi. It's the esper it's the only esper that gives us +1 to magic. So normally you would have to take +1 to magic, but I thought, you know what, with that exploit, I'm going to take advantage of that, right? And actually get +2 strength on Celeste. Now, at this point, you know, Celeste is 6. You can do this all the way up until the Magitech Research Facility, but I would just say do it early because there's no reason not to. And here, here you're gonna notice here. So I already had, oops, and I took a cut there so you can't see it, but I took Shadow into Narshe. Normally, in the other versions of the game, Shadow would take off. If you entered Narshe, he would just leave you. That is not the case, and that is another one of the things that has changed with this, because normally you would have to level Shadow there as well to 6, because otherwise he would get re-averaged later. You do not have to do that, and I do not recommend doing that because that will screw up Setzer's level. So, again, don't do that. You know, make sure that you just leave Shadow in Narshe and take, you know, I think I took Edgar here. Edgar, who else? Oh, Locke and Cyan. Obviously, Locke is forced into your party. And here is the rats. This is so much easier with quick saves. I mean, this is an absolute joke. This was one of the more frustrating parts of, you know, other versions of the game. But I mean, again, this is just, it's so easy now because of these quick saves. So, you know, obviously it's let the rats get past. Here I'm gonna, this guy's being kind of a pain in the butt, but there we go. Oh, there we go. Zip. All right, now here we've got it made. Like, I mean, short of something, or one of those rats coming up behind us, we're golden here. And you can actually wait for that rat to go all the way up, and that's fine too. But here is safer. This is just a little bit of a safer spot. I don't know if I ended up. I guess I don't know which way this rat went, but I think I probably got annoyed here and rushed up there, but. You can sneak, again, if he's all the way up to the top, you can sneak by him, so let's just see here. Yeah, he just wasn't coming down. I needed him to come down because that makes it, you know, really easy to get by him, but there he goes. There he goes. Snuck by. All right, so there's the final quick save, and then you just fight Ultros. Now, after Ultros, you know, all of the stuff happens there with the southern continent. And here we're down in the minecart. Now, one thing that helps is to either have the drainer, I'm sorry, I guess in this version it's called the blood sword. I had that on Edgar. The other times I've played the game as well, what I would do here is have reflect rings because it would make getting through this area a lot easier. You do not need to do that anymore, and I would recommend actually not doing that. Put haste or sprint shoes, I guess. Or no, I'm sorry, it's not called. It's Hermes sandals in this game, or this version, and that'll just make it so that you know, your characters are faster, and it'll make the boss a lot easier too. Now, that first fight there, that is very important. You really want to reset your game until you get the 1 purple, 1 red. You can run away from these battles, and that's one of the other things that has really changed about this version of the game. You can run away from any fight that's got the red Magna Rotors. And so it's kind of funny, they flipped the script kind of on the minecart ride. In previous versions of the game, you did not want to get into battles with any of the red ones. They're worth all, you know, especially that fight there, it's worth a ton of experience. But it's the complete opposite now. You want to get those because then you can just run away from them. Again, that very first one though, it's most common that it's like 75% of the time you'll get a 1 purple fight. And then I would just reset your game, right? You don't want to, because we're trying to, you know, keep our experience on stuff. You don't want to absorb you don't want to absorb experience on the very, very first battle. So just reset your game. Now, from that point on, I think you've got a 75% chance of getting the fights that you want. So it gets significantly easier after that first fight. So again, if you get the purple one, just reset your game, reload, in that you know, make sure that you're getting 1 purple, 1 red on that first fight. Just use smoke bombs, by the way. Don't try to run. Running takes way too much time. You're gonna get nuked. You're gonna have a bad time. So that's the other thing. Make sure you've got a bunch of smoke bombs. I think I bought 20 of them, you know, way back in Nikia, and they really served me well throughout the entire, I guess. Yeah, process. So what are we up to? Third fight here? Or fourth. I think this is the 4th one. Now, here's another deal where it actually, I don't know. I think you're more likely to get another. I think it's 4 reds here, but I got the two purples. I think anyway. It's either that or it's the red is 25%. So you know, I'm sorry, I don't remember right off the top of my head, but. If you haven't taken any experience at all on any of these characters, this isn't a big deal at all. You can definitely afford to, you know, eat 2 Magna Rotors. You are not going to level with just 2 purples with this set of characters. Again, you have Gao leapt off, so that gave us a little bit more leeway, right? Because normally I wouldn't have Edgar here. You know, and Edgar is 6, so he doesn't have as much of room to absorb experience, but it's fine. You know, everything's going to be all right, and Locke will also not level here. There he got really close for me because, again, I took experience on Locke in all the wrong places. So basically I had, you know, gained experience on him on basically in Narshe and in the Dadaluma fight. So even that said, I could still absorb 2 purple Magna Rotors, and I was just fine. This is very important, though, because so Celeste is no longer factored in, which is fine because we leveled her to 6, so we actually, you know, don't want her factored in. The key, though, here, and what makes this so much different, is that Shadow is factored in to our party experience, and that's important for Setzer. In basically in every other iteration of the game, unless you took advantage of, there was another glitch that made things really weird, which was like the I think it was called the level reset glitch, but that's not doable in this version of the game. So anyways, long story short here, Shadow's level is factored in, and he is level 5. He is the key to making sure that Setzer stays or joins at level 5. So again, do not level Shadow before this, right? Leave him at 5, bring him to Narshe, keep him there, rotate him out, rotate everybody else in. Again, level Celeste before she leaves. Otherwise, that is a lost level, unfortunately, for her. And her level does not get factored in for quite some time here. She will rejoin us towards the end of the World of Balance at the party average. Now here, this is the final fight is pretty important too. I noise blaster so that they're hitting each other because I don't want them casting on me. And then I let my other 2 characters, I think I had Cyan, had Phantom, I think. I'm sorry, I don't remember now, or I didn't see. But what you want to do is you want to have, you want to be invisible, keep noise blastering every turn with Edgar. And then you want to give Cyan an ether to restore his mana, because you want to be able to recast Phantom in this fight. You know, one of the blades will sometimes use Shim Sham, and that's a problem. But you just kind of got to deal with it. It is very, very important, though, here to have Edgar invisible the whole time. This guy is going to start using Blood Feast in response. There I screwed up with Cyan as well. You do not want to use Sky. Sky will reveal Cyan for whatever reason. I don't know why they programmed it that way. It's really obnoxious, but do not do that. Keep him invisible as long as you possibly can. There you're starting to see him Blood Feast. Blood Feast won't do anything, and by the way, I already stole 2. I got incredibly lucky. This is probably the most luck I've ever had, especially in this version of the game. I've been freaking getting screwed constantly by extremely poor steal rates, but somehow the stars aligned here, and I was able to steal on literally the first turn. Absolutely crazy. Now, I think it's important to steal that as well. That weapon is amazing. There's only 2 in the game. It's the Tempest. I don't know what it's called in this version of the game. They renamed it, which is always annoying when they do that, but whatever. So again, steal that. The great thing about stealing from this guy is do not do any damage to him until you've stolen, because that way, if he tries to Blood Feast you, he won't do any damage. But once you're done and you've got that weapon for Cyan there, definitely, you know, make sure you're invisible. At the very least, make sure Edgar, because Edgar is going to be doing 90% of your damage here. But also, you can nuke him a couple of times with Locke as well. Being that everybody, and here I got really lucky, I don't think anybody got stopped. That's another absolutely brutal part of this fight. if anybody gets stopped, you basically have to stop. Funny. And make sure that that character it gets healed over and over and over. You don't want your characters dying here, because once people start dying, you start running into some real problems. Here's where he finally shamshears. Now that Edgar has been revealed, you have to get him invisible again. So at this point, I'll recast Phantom here. We'll get Cyan and Edgar hidden once again. Shamshear is actually, I think it's only like a 33% chance for that blade to use it. So, here I just got really, really lucky that he didn't use it early on, and he kind of waited a little while. But here, that's the other problem too. Also with Blood Feast, and if you're not invisible, is it's gonna be hard to keep up, right? You're gonna do some damage, and then you're probably gonna get one shot, because Blood Feast is just nasty. You really can't afford to take a Blood Feast. So again, invisibility is your friend here. It's the one thing that makes this fight very much more doable. Again, you've got a lot of leeway here with experience as well. At a certain point here, I should say, basically once you've got Strago, you're done. There's no difference really between this version and older, kind of guides. But here's again where we're kind of going to get a huge advantage, a huge difference, I suppose, between this version and other versions of the game. Is now Setzer will join at 5. Normally, Shadow would take off on you, and so his he's only level 5, and his being that he would be gone, his level wouldn't be factored in, and so your average level would be 6, and so Setzer would join at 6. But again, because of the way that we're doing this now, Setzer will join at 5, and he will stay with you also, and he'll keep being factored in for the rest of the characters that join. So at this point, after we're done with the Magitech research facility, we're able to eventually here get the airship. Once you have access to the airship and Tera is back, Tera rejoins at 5. One very interesting thing about this that I finally figured out was that any experience that you got with Tera earlier on in the game basically carries over and is added after she gets averaged. So right now my party average is 5, but she also took 100 experience from the Rider fight, and that 100 experience is added to her while she's level 5. Very strange. That is not that was not how they did, or that is not how they factored experience in previous iterations of the game. Basically, you would just get averaged out, and then that character would have, however much experience that it normally took from them to get from that level to the next one. But again, basically all of your experience that you gain is added now onto whatever your average is. Not that important, but very interesting, very weird. Not something that I'm used to, but it is what it is. Now, here, again, taking advantage of this esper glitch, I'm giving Shadow Raiden so that he can also get +2 strength. You actually don't need to do that. We've got Bismarck, so you could do that too. All right, so fast forward here, we're up right before the banquet. Again, this gets a little bit weird too. There is theoretically a way to get all of the rewards here, but you have to basically take no experience on anybody for the entire game. And the reason being is there's a couple of fights here that you can actually run away from, and that's fine, but this one you can't. This is the Mega Armor, and you have to beat this guy if you want to get a perfect score. And then you also have to fight and beat the Special Forces. And it's really tough to do that and not absorb too much experience, but it is doable technically, and especially here if you let Tera die. And I would say that if you really want to get that ward bangle, which I'll be honest, is not needed at all in this version. in prior versions of the game where you couldn't quick save, I think it made sense to really try to get that. Because you just, especially for the floating continent, it is a long way to go from that first save point until the point where you can jump off the airship. And, there's ninjas running around up there and you can't run from ninjas. So, it was kind of nice to be able to have that ward bangle to reduce your encounter rate. But here it's just not needed. It's just not needed at all. And then there, if you notice, I was able to absorb the damage from that mega armor without having Tera alive, and I still didn't have anybody level. Again, it's possible that had I not absorbed any experience at all from the entire, game up to this point, I could have absorbed all of the experience from the special forces here with my 3 characters, I believe. And then potentially I would have got that ward bangle. But again, I don't think that's needed. And ward bangles aren't unique, right? You can get those later on in the game too. But, with the quick saves in this, it makes that item, kind of pointless. So anyways, I'm just going to go through all of the answers here at the Imperial banquet. You can take a look if you really want to see, but again, it doesn't really matter. And you can actually, so what I ended up doing here was I fought that heavy armor, and got, got the 24 soldiers. But here's the problem though. You can't do this, or I couldn't do the special forces here because I would have leveled with a bunch of people. So, basically I think I let the timer just run out, which, that said, you don't need to do that, but I wanted to get the Imperial forces to pop up on the Veld. I could have just skipped this fight altogether with these guys, but again, I wanted that formation and I wanted to be able to, leap onto them on the Veld. So I did grab that, but, I think I'm just trying to think now. Yeah. The ward bangle, I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you're, it's tough for me, right? Because I have kind of like OCD, so I wanted to do that. But, honestly, in order to get it, you really have to do so much extra work, especially the minecart. You basically can't absorb any experience on that minecart, right? If you want to get the ward bangle. So I just don't think it's worth it. So yeah, that's my take on these guys. They're worth 200 experience a pop, so that's 600 experience right there. The mega armor is worth 350. So again, there's a way to do it, I guess probably, but no, I don't think it's worth it. And being able to actually absorb some experience on that minecart ride is actually, I think, much more worth it. Because, so many things, so much RNG has to go in your favor in order to do that minecart ride correctly. And then on top of that, I actually ended up getting, what was it? Oh yeah, I stole on that first turn. So once I was done with that, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. So I don't know. That's my take here. I would say just let this timer run out. I don't know if you can let them kill you. I feel like you probably can't. That's my guess here. My guess would be that's probably a game over if you let these guys kill you. So don't do that. I got lazy. I don't know what I was doing something, not paying attention, just letting the battle run. And that was a bad idea. So here I'm scrambling to try to keep myself alive, but. Edgar does end up pulling it off here. I don't know, maybe I could have gone for the noise blaster, but I don't know if these guys are even vulnerable to it. So that could have been a problem too. But one thing, okay, so now that I actually got a little bit of time here, I do want to point one thing out as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get Strago, and he is going to join at level 7. The reason for that is when you have him join, Tera and Locke are still at level 5, and because they're both at level 5 still, your average level is like a 5.7 or 5.8, something like that, and that always gets rounded down. Strago joins at your average party level +2. So again, he will join at 7, and that is even with Shadow already at level 6. Shadow's level actually does get factored into Strago's as well. The problem and the thing that really stinks is right after you get Strago and you do the Flame Eater, Shadow's level is no longer factored in. And we are forced to gain a ton of experience in that fight. There is no way, unless there is an exploit that I do not know about, because the smoke bomb confuse trick doesn't work anymore, so you can't make those balloons in the Flame Eater fight disappear. You just gain too much experience there. There is no way to... Basically, if only one of the characters gained a level, that would have been fine, right? Like if Strago would have joined or gained one, or if only Tera had gained one, that would have been... But there's no way to do that. There's no combination of, characters alive and, had they, not gotten any experience with it. There's no way to keep them at only one character gaining a level. Because even best case scenario, Tera and Locke are both at level 5, and they both need the same amount of experience. Like it's like 276 or something like that, or 274, something like that. Even best case scenario, it doesn't matter. Both of them will gain a level, right? You could kill off, say, Tera, and then maybe take one level on Locke and Strago, but there's no way around it. So, unfortunately, that means that Realm will join at level 6. Heartbreaking, I know. There's just no way to do it. So here is the nighttime, and I wanted to show you guys here. This is why Strago, well, not only it's not just that. Even if Shadow wasn't with us right now, if Shadow had taken off or something, Strago would still join at 7 because, again, Locke and Tera are bringing the average down because they're both level 5. But he is here at 6, and it's it ends up being fine. But so here he is finally joined. Again, he's now joined at level 7 again because Locke and Tera are both 5, and bringing that average level down. Right, obviously, like Edgar, Sabin, Setzer is also level 5 right now, so he's helping bring that average level down. But again, now here the problem is because right after the Flame Eater here, Shadow leaves. And so that is why Realm cannot join at level 5, because once Shadow is gone, I shouldn't say that. It's not even, actually, it's not because Shadow is here or gone, right? Because he's already level 6. But the problem is both Tera and Locke gain a level here. And so it just makes it so that Realm can't join at 6. It's really shitty. There's just no way around it. Here I left this battle in just to show you guys. That's the other thing. He uses Bomblet right on the first turn. There's nothing that you can do about that. Again, as far as I know, there's no sort of exploits here. There's no confusion, smoke bomb thing to make them all run. You just ice rod this guy until he dies, and then that's over. You'll see how much experience we gain, but unfortunately is too much. Now, that all said, from this point on, there is no difference between my guide here and other guides, other low-level guides that have been written in the past. Basically, what you want to do here is you'll have to level up Gao after this. You'll go kill the Imperial Air Force on the way to the floating continent. Do not pick up Shadow. Gao's level, obviously, will completely screw up Shadow's level. But once you've got the Imperial Air Force done, you jump back off the floating continent onto the airship. Then you go leap Gao off, okay? Then you go all the way back up, pick up Shadow again. Shadow will rejoin your party at level 6. Then you leave again, and then you go grab Mog. Now, my buddy said, and I haven't done this because after this point I was like, okay, I'm done. After this point, he had mentioned that his Mog joined him at level 9. And his average level of his characters is 6. So that leads me to believe, if he's not BSing me, right? And again, keep in mind that this experience is not correct here, though it doesn't matter. It's fine that those two both hit level 7 because you've got a ton of leeway after this. And Realm will, again, unfortunately, always join at 7, or 6, sorry. But again, level Gao, kill Imperial Air Force, jump off, then grab Shadow, jump off again, go grab Mog. Again, allegedly Mog joins at level 9. That's different. Normally Mog joined at the average party level plus 5, but apparently something has changed, and so again, my buddy had mentioned that his Mog joined at 9, so that should be an average party level plus 3. So that's my take anyway. That's going to be it for this one too. Again, from this point on, everything is the same as the old versions of the game, and so I'll be honest, I didn't want to put the work in because I've already done a full guide on Perfect Stats. So you can also check that out. But these are basically the changes from the Perfect Stats of earlier versions of the game and this one. Honestly, you come out quite a bit ahead. Combination of the esper glitch on Celeste, right? You get an extra stat point there. You get an extra full level on Tera, Strago, Setzer. Was that it? That might be it. I think that might be it. But extra stats are extra stats. So I hope this was helpful. I also hope that someday somebody figures out how to deal with the Flame Eater fight, because it would be really cool to actually get Realm at 5. But, as it is right now, and I tried all kinds of different stuff and I couldn't make it happen. So that's what I got. As always, though, I hope the guide was helpful, and I hope you join me for more videos. Thanks for watching.